democratization of technology, technology which could benefit the common man. Prime Minister has unveiled his thought, his vision on artificial intelligence. In fact, just now, at the time of closing remarks, we have been told that Prime Minister has announced that India will be hosting the next AI Action Summit. Perhaps a big announcement coming from Prime Minister Modi here in Paris at AI Action Summit. So India will be hosting the AI Action Summit next year, a big announcement by Prime Minister Modi. And also, we are awaiting for leaders' declaration because that will definitely be adopted. And we could also see that the aspirations of the countries of the global south, their needs would be catered in the leaders' declaration that will be adopted. Because as Prime Minister said, that AI could help the world in achieving the sustainable development goals. Prime Minister also spoke about the fear of job loss, and he said that history has shown us that that technology never takes away jobs. So that's kind of a strong statement that Prime Minister has made. He has also shown the world that how India has made digital public infrastructure more commercial and democratic, and perhaps on the same format only India is taking forward its own AI mission. So a very strong words coming from Prime Minister Modi here in Paris. And remember, this action summit is taking place at a time when after US, China has become a big player, perhaps disrupted the entire AI ecosystem worldwide. And these times it's very important for a global governance, effective, inclusive governance, and perhaps to set the roadmap for the same. Prime Minister Modi has co-chaired the AI Action Summit with President Macron here in Paris.
And the thing that the Prime Minister said about jobs not being replaced, that work cannot be replaced by technology, that's something that was appreciated by the Vice President of the United States as well, isn't it? That's something that J.D. Vance spoke about during his address at the summit too.
Well, absolutely. And in fact, Poonam, there is more to it. India and US are collaborating on critical and emerging technologies. It's very important for both the countries to be on the same page, to share same values and understanding about AI. And right after Prime Minister Modi, when J.D. Vance spoke and addressed world leader, he appreciated and he praised Prime Minister Modi's thoughts and his ideas about artificial intelligence. So, such clarity, such level of clarity and understanding perhaps opens more landscape for both the countries to collaborate in AI and critical tech.
Right, Siddhant, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. These are visuals that we see coming in from Paris, where that critical AI Global Summit has just about concluded. Shifting focus now to the Maha Kumbh here in Prayagraj, back home, where we're seeing the Ambani family take the holy dip at the sacred confluence of River Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. We see Reliance Industries Chairman Mukesh Ambani along with his entire family. Akash Ambani, Shloka Ambani are there as well. Anant Ambani, Radhika Merchant also present while they take that holy dip at Prayagraj at the Maha Kumbh, partaking in this festival of spirituality, of this religious festival that we're seeing in Allahabad. The Maha Kumbh this time around coming after 144 years due to certain planetary arrangements. It is believed to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that many have, crores in fact, have partaken in, and now we see the Ambani family in Prayagraj as well. Arun, my colleague, joining us, getting us more details. The entire Ambani clan we see there in Prayagraj taking that holy dip, Arun?
Well, that's right. It's not only Reliance Industries Chairman Mukesh Ambani and his wife, but the entire clan, which include their son, daughter-in-laws, and also the grandchildren. The list is, of course, starting with Mukesh Ambani and two of his sisters, Neena Bain and Deepti Bain. They are also present there. His son Akash Ambani and Akash's wife Shaloka, and their two children Prithvi and Veda. They are also their younger son Anant Ambani and his wife Radhika Merchant. They are also there. In fact, Mukesh Ambani's mother-in-law Purnima Dalal is also there. Of course, Nita Ambani is there, and also we are given to understand that Nita Ambani's sister Mamta Dalal is also part of this. This entire delegation which has reached there in a short while from now. In fact, as we speak, they are taking the holy dip in Triveni Sangam. I think which is the most important and the significant part of the entire Maha Kumbh. Everybody knows the importance of this Maha Kumbh. The celestial alignment is something which has never happened in 144 years, and it will again happen after 144 years. So I think they also understand the importance of it. And even in the past, Poonam, we have seen religious events being organized by Mukesh Ambani, showing his religious side. Whether at his residence in Mumbai or somewhere else, and therefore taking that forward. He is along with entire Ambani family there in Prayagraj, and also importantly, we know the kind of role the Reliance Industries have played in the infrastructure creating there in Prayagraj for this Maha Kumbh. So they have been in collaboration with the Uttar Pradesh administration. But today, of course, it's going to be a significant event for the entire Ambani family, because they are there in Prayagraj. They're part of the atmosphere. They're part of that special occasion of Maha Kumbh. It's very, very significant. The visuals that we can see of the entire family there in Prayagraj for this Maha Kumbh.
Right, Arun, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front, as we see the entire Ambani family there taking the holy dip at Maha Kumbh. Shifting focus now to the Parliament, where the Lok Sabha is in session. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is responding to the debate on the budget. Let's cut across.
House that there are issues which are of global concern, which also have an impact on our own budget making. There is a continuation of global conflict in the Middle East. Russia-Ukraine war continues. Stagnation in global GDP and sticky inflation in the emerging markets are all vitiating the atmosphere in the entire developing economies. Actually, what is happening is, where we have ideally a situation which should encourage free trade, we are seeing more restriction. Where we very strongly vouch for globalization, we see a lot more fragmentation. Where we need fiscal prudence, we are seeing rising debt. Where we are seeing market forces which should actually play to make sure economies are going to be absolutely free and fair in its practices, we are seeing many restrictive industrial policies. We are also seeing that where multilateral forums should be playing a greater role, we are seeing bilateral partnerships and regional forums coming into play. So the world scenario in the last 10 years has actually turned almost 180 degrees, and as a result of which the challenges for any country in making their budget is far more complicated now rather than ever before. Now, as far as the first advanced estimates from NSO have come in, India's economy is expected to grow by 6.4% in real terms and by 9.7% in nominal terms. So during the current financial year, this is the picture which we want to present before you. The inflation trends, particularly food inflation, appears to be moderating. Sir, the union budget for 25-26 has sought to address these immediate challenges facing the domestic economy in the global context. It also rolls out futuristic path for transforming India into Vikasit Bharat. So our main goals in this budget, our main goals in this budget are to accelerate our growth, secure inclusive development, invigorate private sector investments, and uplift household sentiments. So with a focus on Garib, youth, Annadata and Nari, the budget likes to reveal new schemes and reforms in the following broad sectors: promotion of agriculture, MSMEs, investments and exports as growth engines, and building rural prosperity and resilience. We also want to have employment-led development, spurring domestic consumption and boosting manufacturing in India, including export promotion. Continuing public capital expenditure, sir, and rekindling the animal spirits in the private sector to step up investments. And most importantly, investing in people, investing in economy, and investing for innovation. These are actually the union budget. These are actually the points on which union budget is focusing, so that we balance the national development priorities with fiscal imperatives. So, some of the budgetary outlays I want to highlight here, sir, so that it covers most of the concerns expressed by many of the members. The budget, first thing before I even utter the outlays for each of the schemes, I want to highlight one concept, if you want to say, effective capital expenditure. What is effective capital expenditure, sir, and why do we need to? I'm sure very many members of Parliament will fully be aware of it, but for the records, I'd like to describe it for a minute. Effective capital expenditure includes core capital outlays and the grants in aid for creation of capital assets. Though the grants in aid for creation of capital assets, sir, is accounted in our budget, is accounted as revenue expenditure, they go for creating capital assets in the states. So we include them when we talk about effective capital expenditure. In the budget of this year, 25-26, the effective capital expenditure is projected at 15.48 lakh crores as against 13.18 lakh crores in the RE of 24-25. So the effective capital expenditure in BE 25-26, sir, is about 4.3% of our GDP. That is only 0.1% of GDP lower than the fiscal deficit of this year, which is 4.4. This year meaning 25-26, which is 4.4% of the GDP. So the effective capital expenditure is 4.3% of GDP. Fiscal deficit, 4.4% of GDP. What does it indicate? It indicates that government is using almost the entire borrowed resources for financing effective capital expenditure. So the borrowings are not going for revenue expenditure or committed expenditure or any of those kinds. It's going only for creating capital assets. So in effect, government intends to use about 99% of borrowed resources to finance effective capital expenditure in the upcoming 25-26 year. I'll explain it, Professor, please. I've just begun, right? The sectoral outlays in the year 25-26 include agriculture and allied activities, which get 1.71 lakh crores, rural development, which gets 2.67 lakh crores, urban development and transport, 6.45 lakh crores, health and education, 2.27 lakh crores, defense, which excludes defense pension, 4.92 lakh crores. So I just want to highlight the fact, sir, that money is not being denied to any of the capital expenditure accounts, because I heard occasionally.
would say this, and I'm going to let that be because that's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think a lot of them are dead. I think a lot of the hostages are dead. I think it's a great human tragedy what's happened, how people can be that mean to do. I'm speaking for myself. Israel can override it, but from myself, Saturday at 12 o'clock, and if they're not here, all hell is going to break out.
Hamas said on Monday it would stop releasing Israeli hostages until further notice over what it called Israeli violation of the ceasefire agreement, raising the risk of reigniting the conflict. The Palestinian militant group was set to release more Israeli hostages on Saturday in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and other Palestinians held in Israeli detention, as had been happening over the last 3 weeks. A Hamas military wing spokesperson said Israeli violations include delaying Palestinians from returning to northern Gaza, targeting Palestinians with Israeli shelling and gunfire, and stopping aid from entering the Strip. Israel's defense minister said Hamas's announcement violated the ceasefire deal and that he had instructed the military to be at the highest level of readiness in Gaza. Protesters in Tel Aviv demanded the safe return of all hostages on Monday.
We are getting used to seeing our people getting back, sometimes horrible conditions, but alive, and we're expecting for this deal to continue until its very end, and by the conditions fully.
A group representing hostage families called on mediators to stop the deal from breaking down, while a group representing Israeli military veterans accused the government of intentionally sabotaging the agreement. So far, 16 of the 33 hostages to be released in the first 42-day phase of the deal have come home. An additional 5 Thai hostages were returned in an unscheduled release. In exchange, Israel has released hundreds of prisoners and detainees. Meanwhile, Gazans are trying to rebuild their lives in the shattered enclave. The unexpected announcement comes amid growing doubts over an already fragile ceasefire that has largely held since it began on January 19th. Although there have been some incidents in which Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces and Hamas delays in providing names of hostages it planned to free. Aid agencies say the amount of aid getting into Gaza has increased since the ceasefire. Talks began last week on a second stage of the ceasefire deal, but have shown little sign of serious progress.
would say this, and I'm going to let that because that's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that...
Welcome back. You're watching Nation at 5 with me, Poonam Burde. There was a huddle today here in the national capital. Was that a fallout of the loss for the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi? Well, Arvind Kejriwal, the national convener of the Aam Aadmi Party, met with all of his MLAs from Punjab. All of them were summoned here to the national capital. That triggered massive war of words between his political rivals, the BJP and the Congress, and the Aam Aadmi Party. Both the BJP and Congress alleged that the Punjab government and the Aam Aadmi Party were in a sense of panic, that many of the Punjab MLAs wanted to jump ship to the Congress, is what the grand old party claimed. Bhagwant Mann, the Chief Minister of Punjab, dismissed all those reports. He claimed there is absolutely no threat to the Punjab government, also going on to accuse the Congress of indulging in horse trading.
इनको बोलने दो जी, इनका काम है जी, इनका बस हमने अपने खून पसीने से पार्टी बनाई है जी, ठीक है ना। तो हमने अपने मतलब मेहनत करके घर घर जाके, गलियों में जाके, गाँव में जाके, कस्बों में, शहरों में जाके हमने पार्टी बनाई। तो हम ऐसे असल में ना उनके यहाँ कल्चर है इधर जाने का, कभी उधर आने का, कभी वापस आने का। मतलब एक उनका नेता है, वो ढोल बजा रहा था कि आम आदमी पार्टी हार गई, तो नीचे कमेंट आ रहे थे कि भाई साहब ये जीरो पे ढोल बजा रहे हो जी, कि आपकी जीरो आई है तीसरी बार। तो अपना फिक्र नहीं करते, दूसरों में नुक्स निकालते रहते हैं।
क्या आम आदमी पार्टी के जो एमएलएज हैं, क्या वो आपसे टच में हैं अभी तक?
मैम वो 1 साल से बहुत सारे टच में हैं। There are more than 3 dozen MLAs who exactly feel that AAP doesn't have a future.
Okay.
It was a one-way ticket to the moon. They exactly know they don't have a future ahead, so they are looking at a better future. And the only party which has a base and they want to join in the future is the Congress. That's why they have a link with me, and we under no circumstances want to destabilize this government because the number is big. Our intention is not to destabilize, but obviously कोई पार्टी ये तो चाहेगी कि अगर कोई आदमी ऑपोजिशन के हमारे साथ इन टच रहता है तो विच पार्टी विल नॉट लाइक टू ओपन अप इट्स डोर्स, बट लेट द टाइम कम। मैं इतना ही बस कहना चाहता हूँ, एंड आई स्टैंड बाय व्हाट आई सेड। दे आर वेरी मच इन टच, दे आर एंड दे विल टाइम विल कम व्हेन हम आपको बताएंगे कि जो हमने ये स्टेटमेंट दी थी वो सच निकली। ये देखो आदमी हमारे साथ खड़े हुए हैं जी। तो ये गवर्नमेंट को डिस्टेबलाइज करना, तोड़ने की बात नहीं, बट दे आर कंप्लीटली डिसोल्यूशन। They know they have no future. It is just like the present day MLAs of the AAP. They also know they don't have a future ahead now.
अरविंद केजरीवाल है, फॉर्मर चीफ मिनिस्टर दिल्ली के, उन्होंने एक मीटिंग बुलाई है, उसमें चीफ मिनिस्टर पंजाब के भगवंत मान भी है और बाकी एमएलएस भी है। तो देयर आर रिपोर्ट्स की मतलब शायद वो शिफ्ट हो जाए, पंजाब के सीएम बन जाए, ऐसी भी खबरें आ रही हैं। उस पे आप कैसे रिएक्ट?
शायद नहीं, पक्का ही है। अरविंद केजरीवाल के दिमाग में है कि यार ये तो मेरा प्लेस्ड आदमी है, मेरे नाम पर पार्टी जीती है पंजाब में, ये तो मेरा प्रोटेजी है। And he has nothing else to do now. He would be unleashed with number of men now. So he has to firstly save his own back and अपने आप को इसने relevant रखने के लिए politics. See today he is no one. He's even been defeated as a MLA. तो इसका तो अपना relevance खत्म हो जाएगा। बेसिकली तो सारी आम आदमी पार्टी का रेलेवेंस तो अरविंद केजरीवाल जिंदा रहता है, उसकी इमेज जिंदा रहती है तभी रहेगा ना जी। तो दैट्स व्हाई ही बेसिकली दे वांट कि लोकल डिमांड क्रिएट कराओ वहाँ एमएलए से कि सर आप आए जी, तभी आप पंजाब में बच पाएगी।
Of course, is of Arvind Kejriwal's future itself.
Well, definitely. So this was a show of strength that was done by the Aam Aadmi Party, basically giving this message across that these rumours that are being floated from the side of the Congress Party, especially after the battle that happened out here in the national capital, these rumours are absolutely false. And if at all there is any sort of doubts in minds of the MLAs who are part of this of this government, then as well, their doubts should be clear. So this was the first motive of this entire thing that was called today. Apart from this, national convener of the Aam Aadmi Party, Arvind Kejriwal, gave out a very clear message in this meeting, where he said that the mistakes that might have happened in the national capital in terms of fulfilling the promises that were made by the party in their manifesto, that should not be repeated in Punjab, and hence clear instructions were given to all the MLAs and also to the Chief Minister of Punjab, Bhagwant Mann, that they should hit the ground running and make sure that each and every promise that was made by the party during the election time, that should be done at the earliest, and the people as well, that the Aam Aadmi Party is working for their benefits, is working to give them a good standard of living. So this is what transpired in the meeting. But yes, the Aam Aadmi Party has been able to parade their entire fleet of MLAs, that is 93 MLAs of Punjab, that were present in this meeting, and hence they have been able to give out this message that all is well within the Aam Aadmi Party. But yes, the Congress is also in no mood to back down. They continue to maintain that at least 30 of the MLAs of Aam Aadmi Party in Punjab are in their touch and in my sides. Will that happen? That is something that remains to be seen. But yes, the Aam Aadmi Party is trying to put this message across that all is well and the party is absolutely intact, even after what has transpired in the national capital last week.
Right, Anshul, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. It's not just the Congress party that's making these allegations. The BJP too is confident that Arvind Kejriwal now wants to seek another role for him. The BJP says that Arvind Kejriwal is running from Delhi and wants to now unseat Bhagwant Mann as the Chief Minister of Punjab. Let's listen in to some more reactions that have poured in.
I'd like to understand from you, what do you make of the situation right now that seems to be exploding in Punjab?
Arvind Kejriwal wants to become the Chief Minister of Punjab. Arvind Kejriwal cannot live without power. As fish can't live without water, Arvind Kejriwal can't live without power. Actually, he's so used to enjoying the luxury which he has been enjoying since last 10-12 years in Ashish Mahal, that he can't live without that. So his sole purpose is to create unrest in Punjab, to create a distance in Punjab against Bhagwant Mann by saying कि वहाँ पे corruption है, वहाँ पे drugs है, वहाँ महिलाओं को 1000 रुपये नहीं मिला. That's true, ये सब कुछ है वहाँ पे. ड्रग्स भी बहुत बढ़ गई है, करप्शन इंतहा की है, और बेटियों बहनों को 1000 रुपया नहीं मिले, सब ठीक है. लेकिन इसके जिम्मेवार खाली भगवंत मान कैसे हो सकते हैं? अरविंद केजरीवाल क्यों नहीं है? और इस नाम से आप भगवंत मान को हटाकर तुम चीफ मिनिस्टर बन जाओगे, ये कैसे संभव हो सकता है? सो बेसिकली द सोल पर्पस, द मोडस ऑपरेंडी ऑफ दिस एक्शन इज he want to become the chief minister, and for that reason he has called the MLAs to Delhi. Otherwise, you understand, somebody losing Delhi, and that too with such a huge, it was a landslide victory for BJP. And rather than discussing the Delhi failure, he's discussing कि पंजाब की बात करते हैं, पंजाब के एमएलए को कपूरथला उस बुलाते हैं.
तो साहब कोई फीलर्स तो जरूर आए होंगे ना, जहां तक हमें कंजेक्चर्स के द्वारा पता चल रहा है कि रवनीत बिट्टू एक ऑलिव ब्रांच एक्सटेंड कर रहे हैं, भगवंत मान आप लोगों के टच में हैं. कितनी सच्चाई है इन खबरों में?
हमारी पार्टी की कोई ऐसी सोच नहीं है. हमारे पास कोई मैंडेट नहीं है पंजाब का. कोई बीजेपी वहां सरकार नहीं बना सकती. ना हमारे पास मैंडेट है. जो लोगों ने जब दिया होगा तब मैंडेट सरकार बनाएंगे. लेकिन आज हमारे पास मैंडेट नहीं है. हम नहीं चाहते कि भगवंत मान की सरकार पे किसी तरीके की प्रॉब्लम आए. हम नहीं चाहते भगवंत मान की सरकार वहां डिस्टेबलाइज हो. हम नहीं चाहते पंजाब के अंदर कोई ऐसे हालात बने जिससे पंजाब डिस्टेबलाइज हो, पंजाब में अनरेस्ट हो. ये सारी चीजें हमारी केंद्र सरकार की पॉलिसी के खिलाफ है, बीजेपी की पॉलिसी के खिलाफ है. इसलिए हम कतई नहीं चाहेंगे कि भगवंत मान के साथ कोई प्रॉब्लम, ऐसी सिचुएशंस खड़ी हो जिसके कारण हमें ये आने वाले टाइम में इसको भुगतना पड़े.
सिरसा साहब, आप इसलिए भी ये कह रहे हैं क्योंकि ऐसा सामने आ रहा है कि कांग्रेस शायद सरकार बनाने में सक्सेसफुल साबित हो पंजाब में, क्योंकि जिस तरह से ये कंजेक्चर्स ड्रॉ किए जा रहे हैं कि भगवंत मान आपके टच में है, कांग्रेस ये कह रही है कि 30 आम आदमी पार्टी के एमएलएज उनके टच में हैं, तो ये फेरबदल भी हो सकता है वहां पे, और बीजेपी कतई नहीं चाहेगी कि कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट पंजाब में आए.
देखिए, होना ही नहीं चाहिए. हमारी सोचने ना सोचने की बात, ऐसा होना ही नहीं चाहिए. भाई एक स्टैब्लिश गवर्नमेंट है, 92 एमएलए के साथ लोग उन्होंने बनाकर भेजा है. कांग्रेस कैसे वहां पे इनके एमएलए तोड़ के सरकार बना लेगी? ऐसे कैसे बन जाएगी? और ऐसा क्यों होना चाहिए? पंजाब एक अच्छे तरीके से चल रहा है, उसको खराब करना पंजाब की सरकार नालायक है. पर 5 साल का लोगों ने इनको मैंडेट दिया है. अब अगर पंजाब के अंदर एमएलए, हाँ, ये इसमें कोई सच्चाई, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है कि एमएलए अपना फ्यूचर देख रहे हैं, कि उनको पता है आम आदमी पार्टी में फ्यूचर खत्म हो गया है, वो ऑल्टरनेटिव ढूंढ रहे हैं. वो कभी किसी पार्टी में भागते हैं, कभी किसी पार्टी में भागते हैं. लेकिन मैं मानता हूं पंजाब की चुनी हुई सरकार को किसी तरीके भी डिस्टेबलाइज नहीं होना चाहिए. उससे पंजाब का नुकसान होगा, पंजाब के लोगों का नुकसान होगा.
And Sirsa sir, one last question from you, since you are claiming that Arvind Kejriwal wants to be the next Chief Minister of Punjab after, in fact, asking Bhagwant Mann to step down. Are we, in you, looking at the next Chief Minister of the national capital, sir?
नहीं, आपका सवाल ही मेरे से गलत है। ऐसी कुछ पार्टी में ना ऐसी प्रथा है, ना ऐसी डिस्कशन होती है, ना ऐसी चर्चा होती है। और पार्टी के अंदर पार्टी के लीडरशिप ने तय करना है। और ये जो हम लोगों से सिर्फ आपकी टीआरपी जरूर बढ़ती है इस बातों से, इन सवालों के साथ, इसलिए आपका हमसे सवाल गलत है। और ये पार्टी बहुत गहन चिंतन के बाद देश के प्रधानमंत्री, गृह मंत्री, राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हमारे बैठकर फैसला करेंगे और जो फैसला होगा उसमें बताया जाएगा।
Rumblings within the Aam Aadmi Party. What's the future of Arvind Kejriwal? Speculation is rife over that. We'll keep a track of that and much more here on Nation at 5. But for now, it's time for a quick break.
बात जब अपने फैमिली
I would say this, and I'm going to let that because that's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think a lot of them are dead. I think a lot of the hostages are dead. I think it's a great human tragedy what's happened, how people can be that mean to do. I'm speaking for myself. Israel can override it, but from myself, Saturday at 12 o'clock, and if they're not here, all hell is going to break out.
Hamas said on Monday it would stop releasing Israeli hostages until further notice over what it called Israeli violation of the ceasefire agreement, raising the risk of reigniting the conflict. The Palestinian militant group was set to release more Israeli hostages on Saturday in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and other Palestinians held in Israeli detention, as had been happening over the last 3 weeks. A Hamas military wing spokesperson said Israeli violations include delaying Palestinians from returning to northern Gaza, targeting Palestinians with Israeli shelling and gunfire, and stopping aid from entering the Strip. Israel's defense minister said Hamas's announcement violated the ceasefire deal and that he had instructed the military to be at the highest level of readiness in Gaza. Protesters in Tel Aviv demanded the safe return of all hostages on Monday.
We are getting used to seeing our people getting back, sometimes horrible conditions, but alive, and we're expecting for this deal to continue until its very end, and by the conditions fully.
A group representing hostage families called on mediators to stop the deal from breaking down, while a group representing Israeli military veterans accused the government of intentionally sabotaging the agreement. So far, 16 of the 33 hostages to be released in the first 42-day phase of the deal have come home. An additional 5 Thai hostages were returned in an unscheduled release. In exchange, Israel has released hundreds of prisoners and detainees. Meanwhile, Gazans are trying to rebuild their lives in the shattered enclave. The unexpected announcement comes amid growing doubts over an already fragile ceasefire that has largely held since it began on January 19th. Although there have been some incidents in which Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces and Hamas delays in providing names of hostages it planned to free. Aid agencies say the amount of aid getting into Gaza has increased since the ceasefire. Talks began last week on a second stage of the ceasefire deal, but have shown little sign of serious progress.
Thank you for staying with us here on Nation at 5. Breaking news now coming in. L&T chairman has once again triggered controversy with his remarks. Remember, this is the same man that had advocated for a 90-hour work, asking one of his colleagues what he would do, staring at his wife all day on a weekend. Now the L&T chairman has come out and said that people are unwilling to work, especially construction workers are unwilling to work because of the benefits that are offered to them by governments as welfare schemes. He claims that it has led to a steep increase in labour shortages across the construction industry. Welfare schemes are adding to labour shortage, says L&T MD Mr. Subramanian. This is the same man, like I said, who advocated for a 90-hour work week not too long ago that had triggered massive controversy with a debate raging on mental health and on work-life balance. Now he has come out and cited the welfare schemes that are meant for certain classes of people in the country, specifically talking about construction labourers. Pallavi, my colleague, now joining us, getting us more details. Pallavi, the L&T chairman is at it once again. This time around, he's talking about shortage within construction labourers in the construction industry. But the point he's trying to make has triggered a row.
Yes, but there are two ways of looking at it. One, from the point of view, an employer, he must be mourning the fact that there's a paucity of labour, and that is causing a problem for labour-intensive industries. That's one way. But the other way which the government often pushes forward is, even as we're listening to the finance minister speak inside the Lok Sabha, is that there are so many welfare schemes which have been announced by the government, and everyone has a right to bear these aspirations and have a right to move up in this ladder of employment, and therefore to say that they should be denied this opportunity so that they can serve labour-intensive industries better would be very unfair on them. And the progressive scheme of the government is essentially made to ensure that the labourers move up, the employees move up the ladder, and they get better opportunities and a better pay structure as well.
Right, but the kind of the way in which he was trying to drive home this point, perhaps that's something that he could have reconsidered. Is that why this has triggered a controversy, Pallavi, in your opinion?
Well, frankly speaking, there are many state governments, and especially the labour-intensive or gradient sector governments, have complained about the fact that, we are having labourers who are going away to the cities, they are getting employed in other opportunities, and as a result of which we are finding it very difficult to employ people, either, for example, in the farming sector or people in the, under the Manrega sector also. This is something I remember Mamata Banerjee too had complained at one point of time, so had many other chief ministers, that there is a paucity of labourers now, and many of them are looking for better and bigger opportunities. Someone who belongs to the industrial sector, the corporate sector, certainly would be worried, because where do they get the labourers from? And second important thing over here, Poonam, is that many of the labourers are now insisting on better pay structure. Gone are those days when they were used to paying or doing menial tasks, or they were paid a very meagre salary. Because of the welfare schemes, because of the sense of awareness, they are now seeking better opportunities for themselves, and this is something which the L&T chairperson and many in the corporate sector honchos are actually complaining about. Government, of course, doesn't see it that way. The government also sees this as a silver lining, and better opportunities now being made available thanks to the many government schemes.
He was talking about labour mobilization patterns as well. That's something that he was contrasting as far as the global trend, and as India goes, the movement that we've seen as far as construction workers, the labourers is concerned, that's something that this government had faced criticism over, especially during the COVID era too, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. And, for example, that's an example which you took, during the COVID era also, we found a lot of labourers, for example, going away to their native places, and they were taking a while to come back. When they were opening up of factories were taking place, many of the employers were mourning the fact that we do not have labourers, so this has made our growth pattern extremely sluggish. That's also why many of them, of the corporate sectors, also very unhappy with the idea of freebie culture, because they feel that it makes the labourers little lazy. They look at the freebies, many of the benefits they are getting themselves. For earlier, what they used to walk that extra mile to get those benefits, now the government has made it easy for them. So it's a catch-22 situation. The government is also aware and is concerned about the fact that, many of the corporate sectors feel that they have to cut down on their productivity because of the paucity of trained and skilled labour. But at the same time, the government also feels that if a skilled labourer wants to seek better opportunities, and there are welfare schemes which are now being available to them, one should also not grudge them.
Right, Pallavi, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. We'll keep an eye out on whether this creates the kind of controversy that his previous comment had created, or is this something that finds takers across the board. Shifting focus now to Aero India, which is currently underway in Bengaluru here in India. It is, remember, the largest show of India's military prowess, especially of the Indian Air Force. CNN News 18's Akash Sharma spoke with the Indian Army Chief on India's indigenous capabilities. Listen in to that exclusive conversation.
What are the kind of things that you are seeing here, and specifically if we talk about UAV technology, what you have found interesting here?
So as for the UAV technology, as you are aware, that it ranges from a small drone till a male. That is a very high category, if I can say that. So the range is very high, and the kind of a counter US equipment which we get, we want that the UAVs which are there should be modern, should be able to operate in super high altitude, and should be able to provide us the surveillance. They should be able to provide us the logical sustenance also, as also they should be able to get weaponized in case requirement is there. So great to see that all these facilities or all these options are there in the display today, and we are collaborating with them. We are taking them to forward areas. We are carrying out NCNC trials so that we can, from the conceptual stage, we can sit with them and take it to such an extent that the output is synergized for both.
So any sort of contract that we are looking out of Aero India here?
We are looking at contract, but it will be too premature for me to comment on that. But I have invited all these people to go to the commands and work out with the army commanders for the local contracts there, and also for the central contracts.
If you can talk to us about the new timelines for the LCA Mark 1 Alpha, and also the issue that we are facing with ALH.
We have had a setback in terms of engine supplies from General Electric, and they have been delayed since August 23. Now GE has assured us that they will deliver these engines from March 25 onwards, and we expect 12 engines in this year.
We were talking about some contract with Malaysia, Philippines, and also North Africa. If you can talk to us about those contracts, what are the kind of platforms that you are looking forward to as far as sale is concerned, and the numbers, if you can throw some light on the numbers.
We are looking at we have participated in tender for 8 aircraft in Malaysia. So that's an area we are interested in, the Dornier. We are also looking at North Africa, and we have supplied 2 Dorniers to Guyana, that is in South America. So there is definitely effort from our side to go into multiple areas with different aircraft.
Last question about the TOT of GE 414. So there is a lot of buzz about it. Prime Minister Modi is going to visit United States. If you can talk to us about the kind of developments we are seeing in that particular thing.
Yeah, we had our team in Boston last week to discuss about the content of TOT, and it was a very good discussion. We have placed all our requirements, and a GE team will be visiting end of this month with answers to our queries. So we want to first tick off the boxes for the TOT, 80% TOT, and if that is done, we will go to the pricing part. So both sides are very committed and enthusiastic, so we are moving forward on that.
Any update on TED-BF, sir?
TED-BF design is continuing, but we have to wait for the sanction.
Shifting focus now to some breaking news that's coming in. Unfortunate news, in fact. Suspected IED blast is reported from the Akhnur sector in Jammu and Kashmir, where 2 army personnel have been martyred. One of them is an army officer, is what we're given to understand. The White Knight Corps has confirmed this on social media, also saluting and paying tribute to their supreme sacrifice of both these soldiers. Search and rescue operations continue is what we're given to understand, but this is an IED explosion that seems to have claimed lives of 2 of our army personnel. One of them is an army officer, the other one is a Jawan. Tejinder joining us, getting us more details. What more can you tell us, Tejinder?
See, this incident happened near the line of control in the Keri Batal sector of Akhnur in Jammu, wherein the suspected terrorists, they had planted an IED which exploded when the army personnel, they were carrying out regular border patrolling in the area. Unfortunately, 2, including 1 army officer and Jawan, has been martyred. Another Jawan who has been injured, he has been airlifted to the hospital, army hospital, where he is under treatment. The army has confirmed that an officer and a Jawan have laid down
their life while on duty, safeguarding the frontiers of the country, and they have laid down their life. And right now the entire area has been cordoned off by the security forces, by the army, and a massive search operation is underway to ensure that if any terrorist who is hiding in the area who planted this IED should be identified and neutralized. But this area is adjacent to the line of control, and there is also suspicion that this terrorist who planted the IED might have crossed over from the Pakistan side to plant the IED which exploded, in which 2 army personnel, including an officer, were killed in action. So the entire area is being searched by the army. Additional forces have been rushed to the area. The White Knight Corps, which is the 16th Corps of the Indian Army, has confirmed this incident. They have said that an IED which was planted by the terrorists exploded when the army personnel, they were carrying out patrol duty in the area, in which 2 personnel, including an officer and a Jawan, have been martyred. So the entire area is being searched by the forces right now to find out if the terrorists have planted any other IED in the area. So right now nothing is being left on chance. Yes.
Right, Tejinder, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. It's a wrap from my side here on this edition of Nation at 5. Plain Speak coming up next.
Good evening, viewers. You're watching Plain Speak. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. It's not even been a week since the Aam Aadmi Party faced a crushing defeat in the Delhi Assembly election. And speculation is already rife about internal dissent within Aam Aadmi Party's Punjab unit and rumours of a potential political shake-up in the state. Congress and BJP have mocked Arvind Kejriwal and have alleged that Aam Aadmi Party is preparing ground to expel Bhagwant Mann from Punjab Chief Minister's post. In fact, Punjab Congress MLA and Leader of Opposition Pratap Singh Bajwa has claimed that Congress is in touch with 30 MLAs of Aam Aadmi Party who are not in a very good condition. Bajwa has even alleged that Mann is already in touch with BJP through Ravneet Bittu. Now, on expected lines, the party's national convener and former Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal met with Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann